Welcome to Needful Things again. It's Sunday morning crochet. I'm brewing some coffee. So I'm not really teaching anything today. I just wanted to crochet with you guys and talk, I guess. So I've just been experimenting with ear warmers because I don't know why, but I'm getting a lot of videos from people making ear warmers. So I just decided I would try several different ways to make them. So this one is just, regular crochet. And it's a size I hook. And I just did 45 chains, 3 rows of single crochets. On the 4th row, I'm just doing 2 stitches, a puff stitch, 2 stitches, a puff stitch, and it works out, to be even. And then I'm just, on the seam, because I don't like to see a seam. That's the seam. How pretty is that? So, on the seam, on this type of thing, if you go, on my front rows, I'm going that way, usually on the other way. So you just reverse your operation, like, where's my start? It's right here is where I started. So I'm actually on the inside now. So I'll just work on the inside row around, and when I get finished here, I'll do my chain, and then I'll turn my work, and I'll be working on the outside. And you just alternate every row like that, so that you have a, a really nice seam like this. Or else you'll just have a seam like that goes just winds on it. So that's what I'm doing on this one. And I'll make it about, however long I need, 20, 22 inches, 21, depending on how much it stretches. Because I'm just basically making a tube. That's all I'm doing. So I'm working on that one. I was just working on that one this morning. This is my beginning stitch. I always mark that beginning stitch because, in this mishigash here, this could be real easy to lose it. So I'm doing 3 rows, like I said, of single crochet. I think 1, 2, this is my 2nd row. And that's what I'm doing. There's just 3 plain rows of single crochets, and then the row with the single crochets in between the puff stitches. But I tend to count on these rows, so not all the time, but every once in a while, just to make sure I'm keeping my stitch count, because it's very easy to lose your stitch count. And you don't want to do that because I want my puffs to line up like this. I don't want them to be staggered or off-centered from each other. So I have to make sure I have the 2 stitches in there. So you need 45 stitches on each row to do that. So you just maintain those stitches, and it's okay to have a little count once in a while, I think, don't you? So that's what I'm doing with this piece. And I experimented with it another way as well. I did one with using my Tunisian hooks, which I did many times and ripped apart many times because it was either too large, too small, too tight, whatever. And so then I think I ended up using this here. I think this is a 7mm. So I used a 7mm, and when I finished it, I thought, wow, that's, the stitches were just, it felt too loose for it, for what I wanted it to do, to wrap around your head and cover your ears. So I went ahead and I did it with this hook, a size 7mm, and I did with this, because it's, a bit larger than that, I used this hook, which is 7mm. I did 30 stitches. I cast on 30 stitches, and I did 65 rows with this. And this is what I ended up with. And when I finished and sewed it together, it was real stretchy, and I thought, well, that's just like not, it's too loose. The tension was felt too loose. But then I sewed it together, and when I woke up the next morning, it was sitting on the table, and it was perfect. So I guess, the stitches just sort of got themselves comfortable and sort of went into place. And so, yeah. That one I kind of like. Now, I'd pay a little bit better attention to sewing up the tube because, if you do it with a Tunisian hook like this, you're not going to have a tube when you finish because I don't have any Tunisian round, um, you know, stitches, hooks. I just have these. So, yeah, so that one came out really nice, I think. So I might try another one and then just be a little more cautious about how I sew the edge. Because with this one, you have to make it into a tube. So you just sew the top down the side and across the bottom, and then you sew the ends together. And so that one came out kind of nice, I think. Don't you? And it was a good width, because I've seen some that are like this wide, and I'm like, my God, that's up on top of your head. That's almost a hat. Just sew it together and you'll have a turban. You know what I mean? Or you could just sew this one together and have a little stack hat. So there's that one. I like that way that turned out with the 7mm Tunisian. And I just used, the basic knit stitch, although I ripped it apart several times because I thought, oh, I'll do some cables, oh, I'll do this, oh, I'll do a Celtic weave stitch. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a very simple stitch to see if this works with this size hook. And after it took its form, I think that's a good one. I think that's a keeper. It stretches, a little bit, but not too much. Fits the head very comfortably, so that's a good one. And so then I thought, okay, well, because I also have, I have looms. I have knitting looms as well. And I also have a giant 6-foot knitting machine, which I rarely use because, I don't know, I'd rather do it with my hands if I'm going to do it. So, I thought, okay, well, I have another knitting loom that, I can knit huge, giant blankets on. It's the S loom. I'm sure you've all heard of it. I used to use it quite often just because it was really fun. And make big, giant, it's really quick to make big, giant throws with, smaller stitches and beautiful cables and things. It's very easy to work with, actually. If you have one, I'm sure you know. So that's the S loom. And I said, well, those stitches are closer together, and there's sort of a circular part on it. So maybe I could, well, here it is. I said, maybe I could make just make a small circle here, and that would make a good size tube. But the problem with that is you have to work from the inside, but the work goes to the outside. So it's real stretched here, and it just didn't seem to be right. So I knew there must be a way to do it. So I decided I'm still working my 45 stitches. Now this tube may be too small when I get through. That's why I'm telling you I'm experimenting here to see what works well. And so that's my extra peg because it broke off from over here, which is extremely hard to fix. I've glued it on, it pops back off. Somebody said you could unscrew these screws and put a new one in. I'm like, whatever. I don't use it enough to care. So I'll just skip a stitch if I was making something and hope it squeezes together. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to do my regular, basically it's 45 stitches for an ear warmer. And I know people who use those round knitting machines. I don't have one of those. Don't really want one of those. They do 90 rows. I did not. On this one here that I did with the Tunisian hook, I did, here? I did 65 rows, and that was like good 22-inch head. You could stretch it that much to fit a smaller head or a bigger head. Fits my head, which I usually measure 22, 23 inches. So, which is a normal size adult head. So this was only 65 rows because I thought I would make 90 rows. I was like, my God, that would wrap around my head like a scarf. So that, I'd have to reduce the millimeter of the hook that I'm using. So I like the 7 millimeter because I like this, this size of knit stitch. So, I'm going to do it with this one now. I'm pretty sure it's definitely smaller stitch gauge of stitch because the teeth are closer together. And that's why I didn't like my other looms. I have like 4 other round looms that I use for other type things, and I've actually made socks with it. Why would anybody do that? I don't know. So yeah, I've actually used plenty of projects with those looms. The regular, they're just round. They're hand looms. You hold them. But they're similar to this. But the pegs are way too far apart. So I did try to do the ear warmer on the one of those that had, because it required 40, 45 stitches, somewhere like that. And they were just so like loose, and it just didn't look right to me. And I thought, this is never going to fall in place. Or I'm going to have to leave it sit overnight. I mean, because maybe it would do the same thing this did. Maybe it would just shrink right into place. That did. So I'm just using my same 45 stitches across. I will knit a straight panel here using this, and I'm just going back and forth, making a panel, and then I'll sew it. I'll sew it up. So I'm still working on this one and this one because, as you know, we tend to like to crochet on 500 different things at once. So I was working on this one, and I'm not sure yet if I'm going to enjoy the size of stitch these pegs are going to make for this particular project. Or I don't know anything. If it's going to work, if it's not going to work, I don't know. So I'm just, putting my little things on here and having some coffee. Oh, which reminds me. Oh my goodness, I made a cup of coffee. I better go get it. So you stay right there, and I'll be right back. Yeah, I was thinking, I hope my air filter is not, my air purifier is not making too much noise. Because sometimes it does, and unless I'm blabbing my mouth 400 miles an hour and never let the microphone hear anything else. So I'm just going to turn it down. And maybe that'll be fine. Okay. So I've got my coffee. Nice. Okay, so I'm just casting on my little stitches here. I'm just doing a basic wraparound knit stitch because I want to see if this panel is how it's gonna work into an ear warmer. And I'm not making these ear warmers for any particular reason or selling them or anything else. I just wanted to see how many different ways it would, if I could get it to look decent. Because sometimes when I'm making things, like if somebody calls and said, oh, I need 10 ear warmers, I'm like, God, I get so bored making this. There'll be a different way to make it. Do you guys ever use one of these? It's a lot of fun. I mean, you can do it all. I've made beautiful cable blankets with this crazy little thing. It's not, I don't think it's the sturdiest thing on the planet, that's for sure, these little pegs. And the other one I have, they're all hard plastic, but they're bigger pegs, and they just pop right out. I stick them back in, and they pop right back out. But this one's been good, except for that one thing, and I don't, it just, I wasn't pulling on it or anything, it just popped right in half. So, this is called the S-Loom. I forget who makes it. What's it has? KB. Knittingboard.com. So, hello, knittingboard.com. Could you make your little pegs a little bit stronger? Because they're kind of crappy. They break off and then you can't fix them. Maybe you ought to send me one, please. Like that's going to happen. So yeah, that's what I'm doing. What are you guys working on? I know this is not my normal video, but I'm sitting here thinking, well, I'm doing all this, and maybe someone would like to see what I'm doing. I don't know why I thought that, but I'm working so hard on my channel, and some days I have to tell you, being a creator on YouTube it can be very difficult. I mean, especially when if I was like picking up a camera and going somewhere and shooting videos, and I didn't have to like build the buildings or create whatever it is, that might be a lot better. But people who are artists like this, you have to create constantly, and sometimes it's just not coming. You know what I mean? And a lot of times I just, there's not a day goes by that I don't have a crochet hook of some sort in my hand doing something with it. And I don't know if that's good or bad, but I just love it. And, I said I should share it, so I am. And I'm just working so hard, and I just wish, I don't know, I keep thinking, well, what should I do next? What should I do next? Should I do this? And so much stuff that I do, no one ever sees it on YouTube because it's personal stuff for people. And I can't, videotape other people's garments and things. Because just about everything I do is a one-off. I don't work a lot from patterns, which is another bad habit that I should get out of, because if you can make patterns and write patterns and do your own work like that, write down what you're doing, save yourself a lot of heartache in the end, because I end up with no patterns a lot of times, and I've done some really beautiful work. I learn and learn and learn. I learn from everyone, and I continue to learn, and my work is more beautiful every time I do something. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of practice. Takes a lot of time, and then you got to go edit those videos, which in the beginning I hated doing. That now it's just, I've brought it down to the most basic way I can edit a video, because you have to, with the music and stuff, I like the music on my videos, but every time I do it, I'm not using any music that is copyrighted, but I always get hit with a copyright strike. I'm like, that's not copyright music, but you can't fight with YouTube about that. So I decided that I would just stop putting music on the beginning of my videos unless I absolutely know that I created that music, which I'm totally capable of. And so I've just got to totally sit down, get out my guitar, get out my piano, and just make me some intro music for my channel. And because they say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, so I'm using music that's totally perfectly legal to use. And so I figure, if I continue to put that music on my video, and I know that they've already said at one point there's a problem with it, so I had to change it, and I did. That's not an issue for me. It's not a big deal, but you don't want to sit and edit a video for 2 hours and then have to take it down and redo the whole thing just to take a piece of music out. So I stopped putting music in it, so I hope that's not boring. And apparently, my highest viewed video is over 21,000 views. That's not a whole lot, but I'm just a new, small, tiny channel. You know, I'm working really hard to get subscribers, and I'm finding a really difficult part of YouTube, and I guess people don't know this, is you have to get watch hours to be monetized on YouTube. And I look at people's channels and I think, oh, they're doing great work. Why aren't they monetized? You know, they're not able to be monetized because I guess they have, you know, I don't know how you have 10,000 or even 4,000 viewers and you don't have 4,000 watch hours. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be monetized. I don't know. But, you know, whatever. So I just keep on crocheting because I love it. And so I just decided I'll have Sunday morning crochet and have some coffee and sit down and chat with you guys. And I'll probably never be able to watch this video personally because I've never done a video like this. And it's kind of weird to me. But I'm just working on this little piece on the loom here. Like I said, I have 45 stitches. And you know, I get bored with everything though, so I have to like switch it up. So I've got about 4 or 5 things going at once. I guess we all do that. And I'm thinking maybe I should, you know, I'm trying to be better about writing patterns as I'm creating things because it's not hurting anyone but me that I don't do it. Because I know that my patterns are selling on Etsy. The ones that I do have on Etsy, but you know, if you sell a pattern for $1, you're not making a lot of money. And even if it's, you know, a pair of gloves, it might take you several hours to write that pattern because I like to do my patterns as best I can and try to include ways in there to work for everyone, you know, visually. I like to write it out. I can use abbreviations if that's what people need. I do not write crochet charts. I can, but a lot of people can't read them and it's just confusing to people. Now, if I was doing a mosaic crochet, I would certainly have a graph, but I would also write it out because my Marilyn Monroe is a totally written out pattern that tells you every stitch. It doesn't, you know, there's no graph. I may have put a graph in there. I don't remember. I did that pattern a long time ago, but you know, I know that my fingerless glove pattern has several photographs, and I always put a lot of photographs in my patterns, and they're very close-up photographs on what I'm doing with that particular section so that it's pretty clear, because I like to be as clear as possible. You know, I don't want to say, now we're going to put this in here and then pull it, and then, you know, I'm like, well, they didn't see that. My hand was over it. You know what I mean? Something like that. So I think I used my smaller ones for, well, I call them smaller, but the bigger one's bigger than this. I've used it to make dog sweaters with knit stitches. But quite frankly, I can use Tunisian hooks for anything that I want to look like it's been knitted. So it doesn't matter. Now we just got to set up the next row. So I don't know what you guys are working on, but I hope you're having fun. I just utilize my little hook here to help me get my yarn around the pegs. Makes it a bit easier. So I'm just wrapping my yarn around my pegs, making my flat panel. I guess I'm gonna see how far it takes to get 22 inches because it might be 90 stitches. Might not, I don't know. So I'm going to continue to work on this today, I guess. I hope I get something else done because sometimes I crochet and I'm like, oh my god, it's dark. And I thought I just got out of bed, you know, and I've been crocheting for 12 hours. But I'm so passionate about it, and I love it when every time someone subscribes, and I just get so excited about it. No one sees it but me, but so I really do appreciate that. But I really wish people would watch the videos a little longer because it's really hard to get those watch hours. I need like 4,000 watch hours just to be able to get monetized. And though I love this so much, I also would like to make a little money from it. I'm not trying to like get rich or, you know, you'll never see me making one of those videos where I'm like, oh, and I've been on YouTube for 6 months and look at my beautiful mansion that I bought. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do here. I think I might be a little old for that. You guys have never seen my face, I don't think, but trust me. I'm not ugly, but I'm not no 12-year-old either. I don't know, it seems, I look at people, I follow a lot of people, crochet artists, and just all kinds of different artists on YouTube, because YouTube is mostly where I am all the time. You can save the drama for your mama. I don't want no Facebook drama, so I'm not on Facebook. I do have an Instagram for my Etsy store that connects to that. But Etsy's getting more difficult to... I mean, I feel like I'm actually paying them most of the time. Well, you can, I don't know if you can see, but it's a pretty decent stitch, I guess. We'll see how big that tube is when it comes out the other end. Ooh, that didn't sound very nice, did it? Sorry. Coffee's good. Ooh, it's good. So why don't you guys tell me in the comments what you're working on? Or have you ever experimented with any particular product where you've made it several different ways and see which way you like the best? Because I'll decide which one I like best, and then that's the one I'll like perfect. You know what I mean? Like, I'll do the same thing, but I'll do different patterns, stitch patterns. I always get really excited about projects on this loom when I start them, but I don't know what it is about loom knitting, but I don't know, maybe I just don't like knitting. I've taught myself to do it with needles, but I don't enjoy knitting. I like the way it looks, but I don't like doing it with two needles. I think I need one hand free so I can do 500 other things at the same time. I love watching people knit though, it's quite fascinating. You know, and I guess they've just been doing it as long as I've been doing this, and that's why they're so good at it. You know? I started crocheting when I was about 7 years old, I guess. I think my mother taught me to keep me busy because I was driving her crazy. Because, you know, my brother and sister were not at home. They were already gone, and I was there driving her nuts. You know, where I live, they have a crochet club. Isn't that funny? And a lady came in. She was going to teach people how to crochet with plastic bags. I'm like, oh my god, that is exactly how I learned to crochet. My mother used to have me cut up bread bags in long strips, and then she would teach me how to crochet with those. And we'd make they look like little placemats, or I don't know if you know what a braided rug looks like, but they kind of reminded me of that because they just were like ovals that went around and around, or circles. And that's how she would teach me. And that's how I learned to crochet. And after I learned, she gave me yarn. But there was no need to, you know, waste a bunch of yarn on me learning, so it was expensive, I guess. And I had plastic bags, and that's what I learned on. And soon after the yarn came, so. And for some reason, I have a memory of like, you know, back in that time, and trust me, it was quite a while ago. There's a lot of orange and yellow, bright colors like that going on. And I remember, you know, you learn to make a granny square, which is probably why I hate them today. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't hate grannies. I don't like the traditional granny square with the boom, 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 4 little things, and then it's corners, blah, blah, blah. The 3 double crochets together. I hate those. I love the new ones that everybody's making with the beautiful designs. Those are gorgeous. And they're actually fun to make, and I do have one video of one, so have a look at it. Those are fun, and I love those, because those, to me, are just art. They're so beautiful. Some people make the most beautiful, I just call them square motifs. Some of them look like mandalas. They're just beautiful. So those I like. But yeah, that's, you know, some of my first things, and I guess that's probably for everyone. I've heard some people say they learned, you know, first they learned to crochet filet crochet. I may have and just don't remember it. What's really funny is when I see these people with like They're doing vintage crochet. It's so funny to me because there's one woman that's really fun to watch sometimes. She has a vintage crochet channel, but she's doing a lot of stuff from like 1700, 16, stuff like that. It's very interesting. But then there's a lot that are doing stuff like, oh, I'm doing this vintage crochet piece from the 80s. I'm like, oh my god, that is hysterical. Because I probably made it in the 80s. And then the ones in the 70s, I'm like, I've already done all that. I was there. So it's so funny. And I'm like, maybe I should do it again. Because, you can do everything again, but do it in a better or different way. So I was thinking about, like, just digging up some of my old books and just doing the patterns. I don't want to be like another vintage crochet because we've already got those. I mean, I know there's room for a million of them, and everybody's offering something. And even if you only get one thing from someone, or they teach you one thing, then that's valuable. It's a valuable lesson. And art is subjective. You might not like my stitch, but somebody else might. I might like your stitch and other people might not. You never know. I really think I might want to do another face, but I don't know whose face. I did the Marilyn Monroe, which is absolutely breathtaking. It's so huge, it takes up a whole king-size bed. But I've learned a lot since then, and I'd like to do it. I think I might do it one more time. Of course, my pattern is on Etsy for sale, and I know the pattern is fine. I would use my pattern, the same pattern. I might do it more like a mosaic crochet type situation and just cut off every line, do a new yarn on every line and cut the yarn and start with 2 chains. So this is coming out, so it's not too bad. Maybe it'll make a nice ear warmer. We shall see. Well, I think I'm going to have a little break. So I've enjoyed our Sunday chat, coffee, and crochet. I mean, I don't know. Might be fun to do it every Sunday. I guess I could. Oh gosh, I can't stop. I'll just keep on going. Okay. So I hope everyone's doing well, and I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. I'm also thinking about buying a very old house, which could be a whole nother YouTube channel. But I actually love doing that as well. So it's a lot of hard work, especially when you're old as a troll. Okay, that was my last stitch. Yep. Take out my marker. Chain 1, turn my work. And I'm back at the start. So, here we are. And we'll pick it up on that side. We have, this is 1, 2, this is 3rd row. And then the 4th row will be on the back, and I'll do puff stitches. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to experiment with these and continue and see how they turn out, see which one I like best. But so far, and shockingly to me, I like the 7mm Tunisian hook the best. So we'll see.